Madison, we may have a problem. This team got beaten up today by a pretty aggressive, but not an overly big TCU team. We got to talk about it. Locked on Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. And I really appreciate everybody being here. And doggone it, right? We were setting up for potentially a really fun weekend. Obviously, a lot of Packer fans here. Green Bay takes care of business. The Badgers win the other day in basketball. If you win today, then you set up to get the Axe tomorrow. And Badgers just kind of got schooled. I mean, the final score is 74-63. Badgers have a little bit of a late rally to get there. Honestly, this game didn't feel that close. I thought TCU basically from the jump controlled this game script, and then they let it get a little closer towards the end. But the Badgers were outclassed in this one. Did not play well offensively, defensively, turnovers. I think there's some real questions here. And we're going to get into all those, talk about what went right, what went wrong, who we want to see more from. And maybe is it time to start taking a big picture look at this team? We got a lot to get into today, plus a bunch of your comments. I already got a bunch of them starred. So this is going to be a good show. And as always, appreciate everybody tuning in. Let's start here. Let's start big picture. I thought this was an offensive issue more than a defensive issue, this game. And I'll start that by acknowledging neither were good enough, and TCU shot 60% from three. Okay. So it was not exactly that the defense locked TCU up, but ultimately TCU scored 74. TCU scored 74 points, and they had a couple stretches in the second half where they didn't score for 4 minutes, 5 minutes. They had a 1 for 12 stretch in the second half or with a couple shot clock violations. The defense wasn't great, but this is a team built around its offense. When you go get an Austin Rapp, when you shift a Nolan Winter to the 5, when you go get a Nick Boyd, when you get an Andrew Rohde, when you have a John Blackwell, you are building your team to play a certain style of ball. And that certain style of ball is spread people out and outscore teams, and you score 63. Offense needs to find some answers. And TCU did some things in this game that threw Wisconsin off their game. And let's talk about a couple of them. The first one is TCU was aggressive. TCU started this game off. You remember Florida Gulf Coast a couple years ago? I'm sure most of us have tried to drink that game out of our memory to some degree. But how did they start the game against Greg Gard and the Badgers in that opening round, that opening March Madness game? They were super aggressive. They were physical. They doubled. They blitzed pick and rolls, right? They iced screens, which means you don't let the screen get to the other side of the court. And Wisconsin wasn't ready for it. Wisconsin got buried in a hole. Wisconsin couldn't adjust to it. Wisconsin turned the ball over, and Wisconsin was never able to climb out of it. This is kind of the same thing that TCU did. TCU doubled off a lot of pick and rolls, off a lot of ball screens. They pushed our action several feet past the three-point line, so we were just kind of passing back and forth on the perimeter. They turned us into a bit of a one-on-one isolation team. There was a bunch of turnovers. They sped us up offensively, and Wisconsin didn't react great. And there's going to be several Big Ten teams that can do that to us. Better believe Illinois can do that to you. Better believe Michigan State and UCLA absolutely can do that to you. Purdue can absolutely do some of that to you as well. Wisconsin, you have to be able to attack aggressive defenses. And there were multiple times where Wisconsin got doubled, and instead of quickly moving the ball, finding easy shots and punishing teams, we just kind of backed it out and threw it back court or turned the ball over or tried to dribble through a double or threw a bad pass. The turnovers were ridiculous in this game. And I think if you talk to anybody, and I'm not trying to be hard on anybody, but that's the film. The film is the film. The tape is the tape. If you go back and watch that, Wisconsin had 17 turnovers, which I don't even have how many points off turnovers that led to. But Wisconsin had 17 turnovers. And if you go back and look at it, because again, not all turnovers are created equal. Sometimes a player just makes an incredible defensive play. But some turnovers are just giveaways. You just got forced into a pass you shouldn't throw. You try to split a double team. You dribble into traffic. I'd venture to guess about at least half of Wisconsin's turnovers were just bad Wisconsin plays where we just got sped up. Credit to TCU, right? They took us out of our game, but you got to be better. You got to be more resilient offensively in those moments. And TCU just took us completely out of our game. And again, defensively, you have to get better as well. But this team is built to score. If this team is going to be good this year, it's going to be the offense carrying this team. And that's not going to happen if you score 63 with 17 turnovers. It's just not, that's just not good enough. Let's get some comments here as well. Again, appreciate everybody on this Thanksgiving week jumping in. I got a bunch of starred comments as well. The other thing that's interesting to me offensively is it feels like everyone on offense is playing kind of to some degree their own game right now. You know, one game you're going to get 35 from Nick Boyd and he's going to shoot 25 times. And this game you get 22 shots from Blackwell, and it doesn't feel like other people are engaged. Offensively, this team isn't clicking yet. It's a lot of talented players that I think are pretty skilled. A lot of players that have like the skill sets that we thought would mesh together really well with spacing and shooting and passing, but they're all kind of playing individual basketball right now. And I'm not fully sure why. I'll give you this game right now. Blackwell was 8 of 22, 0 assists and 3 turnovers. You can't have 22 shots and 0 assists, man. That's just not going to work. And multiple times he drove into traffic. And listen, I give Blackwell a lot of credit early in the game. He was taking good shots, the type of shots you want Blackwell to be aggressive. You want him getting to the rim. But 22 shots and 0 assists is just not winning basketball. And listen, a couple days ago, you had a Nick Boyd game where he put up 15 plus shots, I think it was, and had 0 assists. This team is just not sharing the ball. It's not passing the ball. It's not moving the ball as quickly as it should. It's a lot of one-on-one. It's way too much stand around, shoot the ball, stand around, one person drives. They have to get this ball swinging. They have to get the ball moving. And maybe you have to put a little more structure at times into this offense if you're Greg Gard. You know, you want to play free. You want to play fluid. You want the players to kind of just take that first open shot, but it's not happening right now. We're not engineering better looks. We're kind of just taking one-on-one looks. And that's evidence, again, you don't have to look any further than this team had 17 turnovers and 10 assists. You're not going to win games if you have almost a 2-to-1 turnover to assist ratio. Ideally, you want that flipped. Ideally, you want a 2-to-1 or better assist to turnover ratio. It was almost 2-to-1 turnovers to assist today. You're not going to win games doing that. It makes it too easy for the defense to collapse on you. It makes it too easy for them to turn you over. A lot of one-on-one contested jumpers. 63 points is not going to be enough to win games for this Badgers team the way it's constructed this season. It's just not going to be. All right, let's take some comments in here. A lot of comments going back and forth on coaching, on Greg Gard. Is this a bubble team? Blackwell misses too many shots. Rap looks solid. Let's talk about, let's really quickly go down through the starters. I think that's a good way to do it. And then we'll get into what went right, because there are some things here that I really liked. What went wrong, and then some big picture. And then I have a bunch of starred comments. Let's go down the list here. Nick Boyd. Again, I love the intangibles Nick Boyd brings. You can see in the moments when this game was starting to tighten up, it was a lot of times because of Nick Boyd. And he's clapping, he's getting the team engaged. But him and Blackwell got to find a better yin and yang. You know, yesterday it was all Boyd. Today it felt like all Blackwell. They have to find a way to play off each other better. And that's moving weak side when one person's driving. It's maybe setting pick and roll for each other, maybe getting them involved in some pick and roll action and seeing what happens. But they have to play together a little bit more. Blackwell today, again, I thought he was aggressive, but you can't have 22 shots and 0 assists if you're nominally the best offensive player on this team. You got to, and there's a really good comment in here. I'm going to throw it up here. I think it was from Patrick. Let me throw it up here. If I can find it. Yeah, Patrick says it's 5 guys standing around and waiting for someone to shoot or drive to the basket. They don't cut, they don't screen, they don't really do anything. It's sloppy and disciplined. He says this is coaching. I do think there needs to be some coaching adjustments, but you're going to get players standing around and waiting when you have your star guard shooting 22 times with 0 assists. Like, it's one of those things where, it's like the big man. He's going to stop running the court if you never give him the ball. If you're Boyd and you're Blackwell, you have to get your other players involved. You have to get them some easy looks, because you can get yours anytime you want. Blackwell can get his shot usually when he wants to. Boyd can get his when he wants to. You got to get those other guys more involved. You have to, as the 2 guards of this team. Otherwise, they are going to stand around. And then you're going to get a stagnant offense, so you can get more of this. I think that's a good point from Patrick. All right, let's take a quick second here. We're going to come back. What went right? What went wrong? Big picture thoughts on this team. Are we hitting the worry button? Let me know in the comments, 0 to 10. What's your worry level right now with this Badgers team? We're going to do that next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick second for our friends of the show. And this game may not have gone the way we wanted it to, but it is the holiday season, y'all. It is time to celebrate and be merry and give those incredible gifts that ultimately push you up that friend totem pole above maybe some of those other friends. Let's be the best gift giver and get some brownie points this offseason or this holiday season. And we're going to do it with Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks makes it easy. It takes the stress out of buying gifts. No more Googling what's the best gift I can give this person. Just give them Omaha Steaks. Whether they're a grill extraordinaire or someone like me who just knows the basics, Omaha Steaks are incredible. They are the perfect gift, and they're handcrafted perfection delivered right to your door. I love the variety. Again, it's steaks, it's burgers. We know that, but it's also sides, it's desserts. They got you covered, man, for every single course of your 5-course meal, whatever it is. Omaha Steaks has you locked and loaded this offseason, this holiday season. Save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And you get another $35 off. Use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms to apply. See site for details. All right, let's talk worry factor with this team. Where are you guys at? Are you stressed about this? Are you okay? Is it early season? Is it non-con? Let's see where you guys are at in terms of the stress level with this team. Realist says this is a 19-12 bubble team, maybe an 11 play-in. Go Back Go says 8 out of 10 on the worry factor. Hard to teach cohesiveness. Brian says worry level 4. Thought we might need some time to come together, although this was an ugly game. Jan says I'm worried. Looks like a mid Big Ten team. Logan says 8 or 9 out of 10. I'm not that high. And I could be wrong, right? That's just my opinion. I say this all the time on this show. My opinion isn't the right one. It's just mine. I'm not that high on it. If you look at this team, TCU is a good team. They're not a great team, but they're a good team. And Wisconsin shot 25% from 3. This is always going to be a team. Rather be in Cabo says 12 out of 10. Rather be in Cabo is freaked out in Cabo right now. I think this is a team that when you shoot 25%, you're going to lose games from 3. They have to shoot well from 3, and they just didn't today. Now, some of that is what we talked about. You can engineer better looks. Some of this is just not we shot poorly. It's the looks you're getting that lead to the shot quality, that lead to the percentages. So you have to engineer better looks, but I believe they can. I still believe in the shooting in this team. I believe that Rhodey's a good shooter, that Rapp's a good shooter. Rapp had a rough game today. We're going to talk about Austin Rapp. I believe Blackwell and Boyd, Carrington, these guys can shoot the ball. So if you shoot by 25%, you're going to lose games. It's kind of that old live by the 3, die by the 3. There's going to be some games like this. I think what worries you or what worries me isn't the shooting percentage. Again, it's the inability to manufacture higher quality looks. And that goes back to Boyd, Blackwell, Winter. Those guys there has to be a little more structure here, I think. And maybe the coaches need to force that. Maybe last year you didn't need to do as much. Maybe this year you need to do it more. Michael Galvin says, relax, peeps. It's 7 games into the season. And this is kind of where I'm at with Michael, by the way. I do kind of think it's too early to panic. I do kind of think it's too early to say this is like an 8 out of 10 worry or a 9 out of 10 worry, because I think the offense is going to play this year. I do. Andrew Rhodey, again, let's keep going through the starters. Rhodey was okay today. Rhodey is the best passer on this team, in my opinion. But there's times he throws some passes that just you have no business throwing. Some guys, you just have to abort the high difficulty passes because generally it's going to lead to a turnover. Rhodey had a couple passes today that I think he would want to have back. Austin Rapp didn't play well. Rapp had struggles finishing on the interior. He's a player where I think he's still young. And this is what we talked about. If you remember when Austin Rapp came on the show, we had Coach Gothier on, or when Austin Rapp came into the program, we had Coach Gothier on, and we talked about Austin Rapp. And we said the worry with him potentially is when he plays the better athletes that Wisconsin's going to face. How does he hold up? It wasn't great today. And this is probably a bit of the learning curve with Austin Rapp. It just is what it is. Ultimately, he still needs to hit shots. He needs to be tougher on the inside. But he was exposed a little bit today by quickness, which is something other Big Ten teams are going to do. Nolan Winter today, 3 points. Listen, I thought he played pretty hard at times. Nolan Winter had 10 rebounds, had a couple blocks. 10 points, or 3 points. That's just not good enough, man. If you're going to be the starting 5 on this team, and people crushed Stephen Crowell when he didn't show up and he had 3 points or 5 points, you got to expect the same from Winter. Winter's got to give you 8 to 10 every game. And that's 8 to 10 without offense being run for you. If you're a big man, get a rebound, pump fake, and go up. If you're a big man, get a rebound, pump fake, and go up. Get fouled. If you're a big man, roll hard, get the lob and score. You can't score 3 points if you're the starting 5. You just can't. Now, I thought he played hard on the boards. He was one of our best rebounders, had a couple blocks at the end. 3 points isn't going to get it done. Coming off the bench, I thought Carrington played well, hit a couple threes, but that was the only bench points you had. So if you look at the box score, let's dive into that. A couple things. Things from the box score. Again, TCU shot 60% from three. Wisconsin shot 25%. TCU had 11 turnovers. Wisconsin had 17. Only points off the bench, Braden Carrington was 6. So, yeah, if you're going to turn the ball over a lot, not shoot it well, and not get bench points, you're gonna score 63 and you're gonna lose most of your games. Let's get some comments in here. Jameson said, "Why are we acting like TCU isn't really good?" I think TCU is good. I just don't think TCU is control the game from jump ball better than Wisconsin is where I'm at. I don't think Wisconsin played well in this game, but I do give credit to TCU. TCU is a good team. They're athletic, play really hard. Their starting guard, I forget his name, Hardings, played really well for most of this game. TCU is good, but TCU should not be shooting 60% from you. I'll say this, TCU ran some action. Let's talk defense for a second, because I put most of this on the offense. I talked about it. Defensively, the Badgers had some possessions where they were utterly lost in the pick and roll action, and it was driving me nuts in the first half. TCU would run a little bit of a weave action, dribble handoff, pick and roll, and multiple times, both players would stay on the ball handler. Nobody would cover the roll man, the pick and pop man. We gave them so many open looks in the first half off our pick and roll coverage. It drove me bananas. They have to get better there. And that's communication. Some of it's communication. Some of it is learning to play with each other. Again, there are a lot of new pieces on this team. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but it is a reason. This team is still gelling. It's still coming together. That's very fair to point out. But man, they have to get tighter on covering actions from offenses. I thought their one-on-one defense was actually better today. You had multiple instances today of Braden Carrington, really good one-on-one defensive effort. Boyd had some really nice moments. I thought Rhodey had a couple really nice moments. But their pick and roll action, their pick and roll defensive action was really, really bad today in moments. And it gave TCU a lot of open looks. The same thing I said for our three-pointers, y'all, where we shot 25%. That's not just luck. It's reflective of the quality of shots you got. They shot 60% because they got some great looks. That's not just TCU on a heater. That's you allowing TCU to get open looks, which allows them to go on a heater. You have to play better perimeter defense. And that starts with communication. It starts with them not getting wide open three-pointers. It starts with not getting cross-matched in transition. I think there was a play in the second half where I think it was Bialuskas got cross-matched on their point guard. And they could have got out of that. I'll have to go back and watch it, but I felt like they could have communicated and got Beals off of Hardings. Was it Hardings or Hastings? I'm forgetting. But instead, nobody helped him. Bialuskas got cooked, got an end one, and it just felt like a moment where the rest of the defense wasn't playing hard enough. So defense, they have stuff to clean up as well. I'm not saying they don't. I just think this is more of an offensive problem today than a defensive problem. Dominique says, I'm extremely concerned. What's your concern level? I think it's like a 4 or 5. I definitely feel more nervous and anxious about this team than when we started the season. Big picture, I think some of the thoughts we had some of the concerns we had about this team going into the season are starting to look like they may be real. And I think some of the confidence we had coming into the season is starting to look maybe a little more questionable. And let me give you an example each. Coming into the year, we talked specifically about, I'm worried a little bit about our lack of post-up ability. And people are going to hate I say this. This is where we miss Stephen Crowell. But it's not Stephen Crowell we miss. It's a post-up option, okay? Let me be super clear. The Badgers have had several different post-up options over the course of the last 20 years, and any of them would fit on this team. What they don't have offensively is a relief valve. They don't have a pressure release where they can just dump it into the post and get an easy look at the rim when they're struggling, when they need to find something. When they're getting pushed out to the perimeter, they don't have a guy that can just dump the ball into the post right now. That's a problem. That was a concern we had. It's starting to look real, right? We thought, well, maybe it's okay because they're going to spread out teams. They're going to run a lot of actions. They're going to have side-to-side pick and rolls, but they're not really doing those things because they're playing a lot of one-on-one isolation ball, which is leading to tough shots. So that concern we had, thank you, realist Brock Harding. Yeah, I was butchering his name. So that concern we had feels real. One of the things we thought this team would be really good at was that offense, that ability for a lot of different playmakers and shooters to play off each other and put teams in a blender. You saw it in moments today. Like there was a really nice sequence where I think maybe it was Rhodey to wrap. No, it was maybe Boyd to wrap to Rhodey in the corner where they're moving the ball really quickly, they're getting good looks, but they're not consistently doing that on offense. Again, the offense right now, I would say the offense of some is lesser than the whole of its parts. Did I say that right? Right? They're not playing up to the aggregate talent that they should have right now. It looks too individualistic, too siloed. And if you want to have maybe Boyd as that heliocentric, alpha of this offense, that's fine. But he still has to get people involved a little more quickly, a little more efficiently, and that's not happening. Yeah, Mike says free take would probably help. He would. Listen, and we said that too. Amos would as well. Now, I don't put that on the staff. It's hard to keep players when they can start somewhere else. That's the portal era. That's not on guard. That's happening to every program. But if you had a bigger NIL investment, maybe if you had more resources, you could have kept those guys. Having both those guys off the bench would really help this team, but they don't. Tyler Strieber says they're missing Penny, and it's pretty obvious right now. Gosh, that's a good question. I would have to go look and really break down some of these actions. I don't know if they're missing Penny right now. I mean, because everything they're running now, they would have been running last year and then some. But I do think there's probably some in-game adjustments Penny helps with. He just has a flair for it that maybe they don't have on the staff right now. I'm not sure on that, but it's a really interesting question. Let's take a quick second. Friends of the show, appreciate all of you so much. We're going to get your starred comments next. Again, a lot of people really frustrated here, and I get it. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick second for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. FanDuel is incredible with the NBA going on right now. New customers, if you bet $5, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets if your $5 bet wins. That's $300, man. You could put on, I don't know, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Axe Week. That's $300 you could put on, I don't know, Bucks, Packers. And that's $300 if you get some winnings off of that. You can maybe get your favorite podcast host a Christmas present. I'm just saying there's options on the table with this over at FanDuel. FanDuel is absolutely incredible. The official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or if you want to ride the hot hand, they have live in-game betting, which is awesome, right? So in the middle of the game, if somebody's piquing your interest or you see a trend happening, you can live in-game bet it. You can combine those for same-game parlays, even bigger payouts. Right now, it is the best place for your futures, parlays, teasers spread over at FanDuel.com. Download the app, get that bonus with $300 if you're a new customer and your first $5 bet hits. Head to FanDuel.com, sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's jump into some of your comments. Again, always like getting y'all in this in these chats. David says his team is soft and cannot play tough defense. I'm paused on that. You saw tough defense in spurts today. I think a lot of the defensive issue was communication. I don't know if this team's soft. I don't think Winter's soft. I just think he's a 4 playing a 5. I don't think Rhodey's soft. I don't think Boyd's soft. I don't know. I'm not fully sure if I would agree with this. I will say consistent defense is an issue. I'll also say I kind of would love for Greg Gard to play that small lineup a little bit more. I think it gives him some speed when you put Carrington at the 3 and maybe Rhodey at the 4. And I didn't think our press looked terrible. I would kind of like for them to play a little bit more of that press. And if you're going to offensively play the way this team wants to play, which is, get in transition, shoot threes, it might make sense to speed up other teams offensively, which you can do with a press and you can do with a little more speed and quickness defensively. This team didn't always play hard defense today and tough defense, so I agree with that. But I don't know if in general this team is soft. Mike says it's a middle of the pack Big Ten team. It certainly could be. And once again, I'm not ready to go there after 7 games, but I fully acknowledge his team hasn't looked as good as I thought they would. And you've had 2 losses now, but it's not 2 losses. It's really looking not as competitive as you should through those 2 losses, looking outclassed. That's the bigger deal. They beat Providence. I don't think Providence is very good. They blew the doors off of them, but really this team in their 2 biggest challenges this season, obviously you have today's game, but in their 2 biggest challenges this season, this team has looked in between BYU and TCU has not looked good. And you look at what Michigan did recently, you look at how Purdue looks, those teams, Illinois, those teams, the challenge only gets tougher. So I hear you. Downstream says won't make the tournament this year. I still think they will. Call me optimistic, but I'm not ready to go that far yet. But you could be right. R. Smith, the people need to know what Rhodey said. Yeah, there's that moment in the game. Oh, I hated this call. Y'all, I hated this call where Rhodey and Harding's they had the jump ball, was Wisconsin possession, and they both hung on to it, and then it got broken up, and Andrew Rhodey got the technical. I hated that call. He's not letting go of the ball either. Neither player is letting go of the ball. And if you're a referee in that moment, this is a huge moment of the game. The Badgers are coming back. I felt like sometimes the referees were a little chaotic with their whistle today. It's not why Wisconsin lost. I hated that call though. That's either a double technical or a no call. I hated that call. That was a big moment in that game. Mike says, how do you get baited into the technical foul? Just let the ball go. But his guy didn't let the ball go either. Neither player let the ball go, and only the Wisconsin guy got a tech. Again, that's a little gripe. It's ultimately not that impactful in the bigger picture of the game, but I did not like that call. Shaden says it feels like a home game. Yeah, I thought the crowd was great. At times, I watch or listen to Badgers games in the Kohl Center. I'm like, where's the crowd? They were great today. This crowd was into it. Downstream says it's down to if Boyd has an up or down game. Sad because he can't take a crappy B-ball team after full. Wait, I don't know. I'm misreading the end of that, but it is kind of down to lately. It feels like Boyd is the only guy that has been able to will this team to a certain point. And the other people have to come along with it. Winter has to have a better game than 3 points. Blackwell has to be more efficient. And Boyd, listen, even today, Boyd had 6 turnovers. So I talked a lot about Blackwell, 22 shots, 0 assists. Boyd had 3 assists and 6 turnovers today. So if you take your 2 main guards, you have, I think, 9 turnovers and 3 assists. That's not good enough from either of them. And I think they would tell you that. I'm not trying to be hard on anybody, but you just look at the box score sometimes and you can see what went wrong. If your two starting guards have 9 assists and 3 turnovers, they're not getting other people involved enough. They're too loose with the ball. And there were multiple times, Boyd, a couple times with the blitz on the pick and roll. One time he tried to split it and lost the ball. One time he tried to throw it over the top and lost the ball. Those are 2 easy turnovers. You can't do that if you're Nick Boyd. Blackwell, multiple times driving into traffic. Blackwell's playing a little out of control. And I missed the version of John Blackwell where he would get down in the paint in traffic and then 2-foot jump stop, be strong, pump fake, and finish up. It felt like there were multiple moments in this game where prime Blackwell, I don't want to say prime Blackwell because he's still in his prime, but the version of Blackwell that we expect would have gotten the end one. And instead, it was like a missed layup and a free throw opportunity. Blackwell's got to get tougher. He's got to get a little more solid and under control. Steve says, took guard too long to make adjustments. Rapp can't play when he's pressured. Yeah, I felt like you went with Rapp a little too long. We were definitely talking in a Discord. I know Claire was talking about it. This team at points is going to need to go probably smaller when they're playing a more athletic front line. If Rapp isn't shooting it well, you may need to go smaller. Now, the problem is in the Big Ten, it's going to be tough to go smaller against teams like Michigan State and Illinois and Purdue, right? So Rapp's going to have to get better. For this team to do what it has to do, Rapp's going to have to continue improving. I like this one. Mike says Carrington should be the first guy off the bench. I agree. I'm a big fan of Janicki from the intangible standpoint, but you got to play Carrington more. I think he's a better defender. He's longer. He's been shooting it better. I like what Carrington has given you off the bench. He's been a consistent player coming off the bench. I like the shooting. He has pretty deep range, a quick release. He's not a perfect player, but I think he gives you more than Janicki right now. I agree. I think that he should play more as well. Let's see some more here. Steve says Rapp will struggle in Big Ten games. I agree. Yeah, Michael says Blackwell puts his head down and gets out of control. For a player who plays at his own pace, he gets sped up and frazzled. He just didn't look like, I don't know. I feel like he's been a little off all year, Blackwell. And I don't fully know why. I have a theory. I think it's difficult for him because he had a high usage rate last year. He had the ball a lot. Boyd is pretty ball dominant, and I just think the two of them are struggling to find the rhythm between each other. It almost feels like when Boyd gets the ball, he feels like he needs to do something, and the offense isn't. It's just not really coming easily for either one of them right now. And there's a lot of time left in the season, but they're going to have to figure out a way to play off of each other better, in my opinion. All right, I think we'll wrap it there. Let me get some more live comments if there's anything else. Jake says we suck against TCU football and basketball. Yeah, gosh. That Rose Bowl, man, I still have nightmares about that game. Unbelievable. A couple other people. Yep, Patrick Carrington, 25 minutes minimum, not even a question. Janicki struggled today. I thought Janicki wasn't very good. Brett says Blackwell said postgame TCU wanted it more, and that's not acceptable. Yeah, I didn't see his comments postgame, but it did feel like that. It felt like in the last 7 minutes of the game, Wisconsin ratcheted up the intensity. That's not acceptable. You can't roll the ball out if you're Wisconsin and let a team like TCU want it more. And it did feel like that for points of the game. It did feel like TCU played harder, played with a little bit more of an edge, played a little more aggressively. It does also, again, going back to that Florida Gulf Coast game where they just came out and they took the fight to the Badgers, if you remember, in that opening round loss. That was just a terrible loss. It felt like they took the fight to the Badgers just like TCU did today. And for whatever reason, this Wisconsin team, it didn't feel like was ready to respond to that punch. It's unacceptable. That's the case. I think that's unacceptable. All right, we're going to wrap it there on Wisconsin. Let's get that axe tomorrow. Please, let's get that axe tomorrow. You see that screen up there? Let's get that axe tomorrow. Tough loss day for the Badgers. They didn't look great, but a lot of time left in the season. On Wisconsin, appreciate every single one of you, and we will definitely talk tomorrow. Hopefully with the axe. Let's go.